Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and I am your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I want to welcome you to my channel. Okay, without further ado, I got some inspiration from Pinterest and also from watching another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I want to show you this beautiful card. I'm going to zoom y'all in a little bit, about there. And I'm going to bring this up. Look at this card. Now, I never thought of doing Christmas cards with what is it called? The Best Plaid Builder. This is the, this right here is the die that I used to make this. And as you can see, I used a shaded spruce card base that was 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And what I did is I cut this piece out of the red and laid it over top, and then the other side of this, it's a 2-piece die cut. And let me pull this out so I can show you just how beautiful this is. The other side cuts this grid. So when you cut this out, it doesn't look like this. You basically are just getting the stripes. It cuts beautifully. I love the way this looked. So I did that first, doing it in the red and green, and I thought the red, green, and gold, that to me screams Christmas. If some of you remember, I told you that my living room Christmas tree, I always decorate it in red and gold. So green for the tree, red and gold ornaments. So I love the way this card came out. And I'm going to show you the stars. The Stitch Stars, I think, is another set that kind of goes unnoticed in our catalog. But this is a beautiful, beautiful star set. And I use this little flourish right here to do this piece. And when you do that, it drops out a bunch of these little stars. So I use those in places in my squares. And I also use 2 on my sentiment piece. And of course I did use golden embossing powder, and I embossed Merry Christmas on the green. And I thought that just really set it apart. And so we're going to do this card today. I'm going to show you how I did it. But I thought, wouldn't it be neat to maybe change it up and do some different colors? So what about a cherry cobbler and a mossy meadow? That would be pretty. And then what about a granny apple green with a night of navy? That would be pretty. So and this doesn't have to be just a Christmas card. This particular set was not even in the Christmas area of our catalog. Let me pull my catalog and I'm going to show you where this is at. So if this is something that you're interested in getting, you can thumb through your catalog, or if you go to my online store, you can just look it up. I'm going to go back to my index because that's the best way to find our items. So we're going to go for the Best Plaid Builder. Let's go to dies. I'm thinking stamps, and it's not, it's a die. So here's my punches. So here's my dies. And I'm going to thumb through here, and here we go. As you can see, it does come in a bundle, and the die set is on page 133. So let's go to 133 and look at that. Because I can't remember if I got the stamp set or if I just got the die. I think I did get the stamp set. 133. Best year ever, yes. This is so neat because look at all of these wonderful sentiments. Happy birthday to you, hip hip hooray. Warm wishes for a happy Christmas, wishing you the best year yet. These sentiments are throughout the year sentiments that you can use. And they did come with this, and as you can see, this is not even advertised as a Christmas stamp or a Christmas die, yet you can make this whatever you want it to be by changing up your colors of paper. And you can also use 2 strips like they did here, put one behind and one in front. So there's so many different variables that you can do with that. Now let me show you the stars, because I thought the stars were gorgeous. And oh, they just really, it doesn't do them justice. Seeing them, there's the stitch stars. And they do not come with a stamp set. This is a standalone die, and it is gorgeous. Look at the different things that you can do. But that little flourish right there is adorable. And then you've got all of these solid stars. You've got the cut ones, all the different sizes. It is just a wonderful set of dies to have in your stash. So if you are in the market for stars, I will tell you that this particular die set is so worth the money. So what I did is I used this piece right here, and if you notice in the card, I cut that out of the gold foil. And this is the way it looks when it's cut. Let's see, maybe like this. Yep, just like that. And then I found a strategic place that I wanted it to lay down on, and I just glued it over top. And then, like I said, I used this star, and that star, and cut some more little stars out. And then the pieces that fell out of here, all of these cut out little pieces that fall out, and you can use those on here, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm going to lay these right here because we are going to work with this card, and I think for the sake of the video, since I've already done it in a red and a green, this is just a darker. Let's try it in this, and we'll use a silver overlay, and so we'll do all of our embellishments in silver, and I think that will be very, very pretty. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to cut this down into a card base. So I am going to use this as my card base, and I'm going to cut it at 5.5. And like I said, this is the Granny Apple Green. So 5.5, and then I'm just going to turn this, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Again, this is the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer and score, and it's so nice because you can do everything on one board. You don't have to pull out a separate tool. This has spoiled me rotten because I find myself not using my scoreboard. I do pull it out occasionally when I have to do intricate scorings, but normally I do everything right from there. So I'm going to grab a bone folder, and I am going to crease this down really good. And now I want to take my piece of blue, and let's make sure this is going to fit on it. If not, we might have to cut oh yeah, this will work. I am going to lay this down just like that, and I'm going to run this through my die. And I have my die machine set up right here, so no big deal. I don't have to move anything. So we are going to run this through right over here. And y'all see me die cut so many times, I don't think it's necessary for me to show the machine again. Although Stampin' Up's die cut machine is fantastic. Sorry for the pop. The nature of the beast. And I'm going to bring this whole thing over like this, and it is going to make a little bit of a mess because you've got all these little pieces coming out. So as you can see, what I would suggest doing here is if you have the take your pick tool and you've added this little brush attachment to it, it comes with 2 foam mats that are wonderful to lay under it. Just lay it on it, move this over to the side, and it's still going to make a mess, but this will help you get out all of those little pieces, and it cleans it out really well, just like that. Now how easy was that? And everything came out We got a few, and if you have some little, you know, a few pieces, you want to inspect your piece to see if everything poked through. If it didn't, just take the little pokey end of your take your pick tool. I guess I should say the pick end. But just make sure everything has been punched out, and that looks really good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay this on top of here, and if I remember correctly from doing my other one, these little pieces here are going to need to be cut away. But I'm going to glue everything down first, and then I'm going to come back with my scissors and trim that off. I just find that it trims off much easier than that if you do it that way. But look how pretty that is. And then with silver laying over this, or you could even do that same green and put that over it, and it would be gorgeous. Or you could do red. I mean, it's just limitless. Now I'm going to take that little sponge piece, and everything fell right off of that. How neat was that? So I find this to work so good with my dies. Anytime that you're working with intricate dies like this, you are going to make a mess. It is a given. And it's, you know, it is what it is. What I do is I try to get as much on my my cutting plate and rake it into my trash can. And I'm sure all of us crafters have a trash can right beside of our work area. And once I get those taken off, I had this cute little ladybug, and this was just a little Amazon item that I picked up, and it is a desk vacuum. Oops, it's dropping out stuff from my last go round. But I just lay it over top of my mess, and I turn it on, and it vacuums everything up, just like that. So neat, and it takes care of all that little mess that we just made. So another one of my little tricks that I absolutely love doing. So now I'm going to take this piece off, and let's decide what we want to cut it in. I am thinking, I was thinking silver, but I'm wondering now if I don't want to cut it. Maybe we'll do a red one underneath. Now, I'm going to stick with what I originally thought. I'm going to do silver. And we'll see how it looks. If it doesn't appear well like we want it to, we'll regroup. Okay, there is our silver piece, and I am going to lay this down about here. And I don't want to waste any of my silver paper. We know that some of our paper is a little bit more expensive than others. So what I'm going to do is I am going to look at the edge of this, and I am going to cut right there. So now I know exactly where I need to put this in my trimmer to cut off a piece just the size that I need. So I am going to do this at the bottom so I can see exactly where I'm coming from. And I'm going to slide that up and just slide that piece up, and now I've got just the size piece I need without messing up my whole piece. And I'm going to do the same thing this way, because y'all know foil paper and the embossing machine don't always make best friends. So I want to not waste any more of this than I have to. So I am going to cut again right there. Again, I'm going to do it here at the bottom, just like that. That's the good thing about this trimmer. You've got a nice lip at this side for your paper to hit up against, and also at the top, so you can cut from the top or the bottom a 17 and a quarter inch arm that goes out, so you can cut really large papers. And you've got non-skid feet on it, a score blade as well as a cut blade, and unlike some trimmers, you have a resting place for both of these, so you can get the one out of your way. You never have to take these off. You have a nice clear track here where you can see through, and you also have measurements along here, so if you need to only cut to, say, a 5-inch spot, you can line your line up even with that. You have 1/4 inch intervals all the way across, and your lines go from the top to the bottom. It also has metric on here in case you see instructions for a card that is from the UK or anywhere that they use metric. You can actually cut metric on this as well, which is really, really nice. So again, I can't sing the praises enough about that trimmer. The blades stay sharp for so long as you treat them well. So if you need a trimmer, I would highly recommend the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. It is one of the best investments I ever made. And they're not that much more expensive than any other trimmer that you would buy. So that's always a good thing. You get a quality product for a good price. You can't beat that. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this down, and I'm actually going to use a little Post-it note just to hold that in place. I'm not using my magnetic plate right now, so for that reason I'm just taping that down. And I'm going to crank this through. And then we'll bring it back over. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove my little Post-it tags or flags. These work so good. And then we are going to lift this up, and all we need, look at all these beautiful little squares you get. Save these because I use some of these to cut some extra stars out of. So I say, you know, waste not, want not. So I'm going to just lay these, because these are big scraps. I'm going to lay them right over here, and I'll pull from those in a few minutes when I get ready to do my little stars and things. So look at that. Is that not beautiful? Now let's come back with our card and let's see how this is going to look on here. The first thing I want to do, I'm going to glue this down, and I'm going to just use some liquid glue. And the reason I'm using liquid glue is because I only want glue on these places here. So I am going to grab my glue, and what I'm going to do is just put like a dot of glue on each one of these squares that don't have any openings in them. I think this is the best way to put this down, and it seems like it holds really good by putting it down that way. And be careful with your glue, because you don't want to put too much on here where it's going to make a mess when you press it onto your card base. So now let's turn it over. I am going to bring out my, I'm going to bring this out. This is my little Silicone Craft Mat, because if I get glue on something, I'd rather for it to be on that than on my work surface. So I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm trying to get it even on the card with that top hanging over just that little bit, just like that. And then I'm just going to press it, and that's pretty already, isn't it? But I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to use my longer scissors. Now Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry a long pair of scissors, so I do already have a pair that I've had for a good while. And longer scissors work better because you can control your cut when you're making a long cut. So any pair of long scissors that you might have in your craft room will work. And just cut that off like that. And then we're going to do the same thing from this side. We're just going to just go right along that edge and trim that off. There we go. And now we're going to bring over our silver piece, and this is going to tell us whether we like this or not. Oh, I think it's going to be pretty. Look at that. Now the same thing with this, you're going to have to trim off a little bit across the top of that, because it does cut it for a larger card, and this is an A4 size card. So I'm actually going to bring it where I want it, because I want it to go right across these squares in the middle, the open squares, just like that. So in order to get glue on this, I am going to turn this over, and I'm going to be really brave, and I'm going to take my liquid glue, and I'm just getting a little bit on my tip. I'll put a little bit right here because I'm just picking it up on my tip and I'm spreading it. And I'm going to give y'all a little tip that if you get your glue on your foil, and you know how ugly it makes it, take a baby wipe and put just a tiny bit of alcohol on it. Or if you're like me and you make the alcohol wipes, I do that by taking baby wipes and just pouring about a cup of alcohol into them. Just wipe it with one of those. And it works really, really well. Alright, let's see if we got it on all of it. Hopefully we did. Now I'm going to move this over out of my way just for a moment so we can get this where we need it. Now I'm lining it up where I'm seeing it going halfway across each one of my areas where I want it. Once I get it where I want it, I'm just going to press it down. And then what I like to do is grab my large block and lay over top of it. Now if you don't have a large block, you could use the back of your, you could use this. This is off of your die cut machine. You could very easily lay that on top of it. Whatever you have that might be heavy, a book. Just be careful because you are going to have a little bit of sticky on the top of that, and you see where I got glue. So I'm going to just use one of these little wipes that I have. These are my little alcohol wipes, and I'm just going to clean that glue off just like that. Yes, and your paper will get wet, but it will dry quickly because this is alcohol. So don't worry about it messing anything up. It will not. I did this with the red one. I cleaned it off that very same way, and it was no worse for the wear. So there we go. Isn't that pretty? I love the way this turned out. So now what we want to do is I'm going to lay my craft mat over here before I put my hand in it. And I am going to grab this little piece that was left over. And I'm going to let this dry a little bit more before I clip these little ends off. So I'm just going to lay it over here out of my way. And you can see that that block really helped to hold that down while it was catching. So that's a great thing. Wipe my tip off of my glue and cap it back. And now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to grab those star dies. And here is our little piece that we want to cut. So I am going to put that right there. And then I'm going to grab this star. And maybe put that right there. And maybe this one right here. And maybe put it right there. What I want to do is get as much real estate out of that piece as I possibly can. So we are going to take this to our die cut machine. I'm going to try not to tape anything down. I'm just going to lay it and run it through. And this is what we have. Let's lift that off and lift that off. And our stars. Lay these over here. And we have enough of room that we can run this through one more time. But look at all these little stars that come out of here. All of these little stars we can use. Look how pretty that piece is. Isn't that gorgeous? So I'm going to lay that piece over there, and I'm going to pull my stars up. That's such a cute one right there. And I think what I might do is run this through one more time to get some extra stars if we don't have enough. Let's see. That is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to give us 7 stars, but we might need a couple more. And I do think I want to run that through one more time just to get some more of those little stars. And who knows, I might use the piece. Maybe we'll do 2 of them that we need for this piece. So I'm going to lift and punch. Just punch that through. It cuts so good. Oh, I cannot tell you how pleased I am in this die cut machine because, I mean, it cuts so pretty. Get all of our little pieces out of there. And we got 2 of these now. And let's pick up our stars because that's what we wanted. We were wanting was the extra stars. So that gave us 3, 4, 5. All right, that ought to be more than enough of stars to cover our area that we want to cover. So let's move this back over here. And I am going to put this back where it belongs. One thing I do like to do when I'm crafting, and that's put things back where they belong, because it's so easy when you are dealing with 2 or 3 die sets and 2 or 3 stamp sets to get things totally in disarray. And then you'll find yourself looking for your folders, you'll be looking for your dies, and it can be a pain. And now let's bring our card back over in our little pieces. So I'm going to go through now and I'm just going to cut off these excess. I think I'm going to do these with the paper snips because I think it's easier because they're little pieces, just little silver pieces. And I think the snips work better for snipping those off, or at least in my book they do. I'm going to go this way. And then there's a little bit hanging over on this end, just a tiny little bit. So all I did was just kind of cleaned up everything there. And look at that. Is that not gorgeous? So now we can take and put one of these here. And what about one up here? And then we could do Merry Christmas across here diagonally. I think that would be gorgeous. And since we're going to be putting those there, we are going to strategically put stars in all of these little areas like this. And maybe one here. And maybe one right here. If we don't have this sticking on it, it's going to have a star on it. So I think what we're going to do first, before we get carried away with our stars, let's go ahead and glue down these pieces. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick in getting these pieces on. Now, for me, this works much better than any other way of doing it. I have a dedicated little sponge and a little binder clip, and I think I've got I have gold pieces stuck on here from the gold card that I did. That's okay, as long as it didn't come loose, we're okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another good amount of glue and just put it down there, and I'm going to dab my sponge in it. And you might have seen some other demonstrators do this. It works so good. And then I'm just going to dab. And if you're wondering where these sponges come from, Stampin' Up! Sells them. If you look in the accessories, they are in the accessories, and they work fantastic. So 3 big round sponges come in a pack. and you can use them for inking. You can use them for glue, like you see me doing. They are so versatile and they work so well. So I'm going to do the same with this. Maybe maybe a tiny bit more glue, because remember, we already have some already on here. Put that down in there and just tap tap. You want to try to keep this as still as you can, because if it's wiggling around, you're going to be getting glue on that silver side. And then I'm going to take this piece and lay it right about here. And you just want to press it down. And again, you could lay that stamp block over it. Whatever you have that's heavy that would help that adhere. Totally up to you. I'm going to put my little sponge dauber back in there. You can also do this with the little sponge daubers, the little finger ones that we do our ink with. You could use one of those for this as well. Any type of little sponge would work. So I'm going to move that out of the way again so I don't get glue on anything. Now we can kind of decide where we want to put our stars. And what I did to put my stars down, I'm going to use that Take Your Pick tool again. Only I'm going to change my brush end to my little putty tip. And that's this end right here. And it just screws in. And the reason I want to use that is because, see that little piece of putty? Let's pull it off and get a new piece. That right there is going to help me pick up my stars, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Let me bring all of my stars up here so you can see what I'm doing. I want to make sure they're all turned over, going the right way. And I'm going to put a dot of glue and pick up a star and just set it down in it. Now this putty tip comes with this tool, the Take Your Pick end, along with a couple of other items. A little spatula comes with it. You get 2 of the putty tips and then the brush is sold separate if you want the die cut brush or the die brush, which it's so worth it. Okay, we're going to do this one. Oops. And how about this one? This one we're going to kind of spread it around because that one's kind of an open star. And then I'm going to do one of the smaller ones right here. And I'm going to do a large one on this end. And let's see, I think we need one right here. Maybe that one. Now don't worry about your glue if it oozes out because it will dry. Not a big deal. And let's do one right here, maybe here. Yeah, here. And there's a little bitty one. Let's do him right here. And as you can see, you can just very strategically put these down wherever you want to put one. And, you know, I say decorate the card and make it beautiful. So I like to use all these stars. I think they're pretty, they're very festive. It looks adorable like this. So I think I might want to use that old olive and put a little banner in the middle that says Merry Christmas. I think that would look really cute. And again, it's your card. If you want to do the Merry Christmas across the front like I did this one, if you just want to do the one spray of stars on one side, it's totally your project. You can make it yours however you see fit and put things on it wherever you like them. That is the good thing about being able to create your own cards. So I'm loving how this is coming together. I'm going to lay this one back up here and mash everything down. And then I think I'm going to come back with this piece of paper. And on silver, I think, I don't know, it would look pretty on the blue, but something tells me I want to do the silver, do the green. And we're going to emboss Merry Christmas with a silver embossing powder. So let me cut a piece off. And what I like to do is I like to measure about how far across that is. So I'm just going to take my ruler, and I want a piece that's going to go maybe about 4 inches. Well, let's do 4.5. We can always trim it down if we need to. So we need a 4.5, probably by 2. So I'm going to cut it to 2 inches first. And then 4.5. And I'm really thinking that we might want to do this with a maybe a dark blue ink rather than embossing it. And we're going to have to cut this down. 2 inches was a little bit too wide, I think. So let me decide which Merry Christmas I want to use, or what Christmas sentiment I want to use. I love this Merry Christmas that came in the paper pumpkin this time. This is the paper pumpkin Christmas Joy to the World. And I really do love this Merry Christmas. And I wonder, let's stamp that right about there. And I think what I'm going to do is cut that off. Yeah, let's cut this to 1 inch. And it's okay because it will save us a piece for another time. So we're just going to cut this in half at 1. And then we'll stamp on that. And I really don't think the silver is going to show up good on here, so I'm going to use the Night of Navy, since that's what the background of the card is, and I think it will look really pretty. Sorry about my throat, but my husband and I were both talking just a little bit ago about how bad the allergies have been, and we have both been suffering with our allergies, and that's been no fun at all. Alright, let's go ahead and ink this up. Oh, so pretty. There's something so tranquil about blue and Christmas, I think. So I'm going to get my head, hopefully not in the camera, but enough so that I can get this centered. Very nice. So what I'm going to do now is, I know this is 1 inch, so I am going to hold it right here, and I am going to come straight up to about there, which is about a 1/2 inch. So it's a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/2 inch, and I'll turn it and do the same thing on this side. Put it even, and then we'll go up a 1/2 inch and make a dot. And then we are going to do a ribbon tail. So what I'm going to do is, or some people call it a dovetail, I'm going to go up to, cut up to that dot on both sides, and then from this corner up to that dot, And the same thing over here, from this corner up to that dot. And we're going to do the same thing down here. We are going to cut up and from here to here. I'm going to throw these little crumbs away. And now this Merry Christmas can go right across here, and I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. So let's grab our dimensionals. And I'm just going to put maybe 4 across here because it's a good little length across. And then I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool and just wrinkle these up. Look how nice that works. So if you struggle with getting the backers off of your dimensionals, that's a great little tip. So I am going to put this right across here. And I want to show you the beauty of this. This card could go this way or this way. So you can decide if you want your card to open landscape or portrait. I think I'm going to do mine in, you know, I don't know, I kind of like it like this. But also, if I'm going to do it landscape, I really kind of like it like that. Yep, I think I want it like that, and I'm going to do it landscape. Again, my card, my rules. But isn't that pretty? Gorgeous. Now we're going to do a piece of Night of Navy inside. To open this up. And again, I'm going to put this in at 5.5. Actually, I'm going to do it at 5.25. 5.25 because that's what I'm going to need this piece to be. 5 1/4. And 4. This will leave me a little bit larger piece. So we need this piece to be 4. And then if I need a larger piece for making embellishments or whatever, I'll have that. Now I'm going to bring this back over. And we're going to put this in right here. And we are going to cut another piece of the Granny Apple, and we're going to mat that inside of there. Oh, so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? I think I really like that green, that shade of green with the blue. So pretty, so nice. And like I said, the inspiration that I got this from, I saw a card on Pinterest that was very similar to this, and I've just kind of changed it up by putting my stars in and choosing my colors and where I wanted my sentiments and how I wanted my inside piece to be. Do I want to do a white inside? I think a white would make it prettier as far as stamping on it. So let's do white. Let's do a white piece, and let's see what I have up here in my little scrap bin. We always have some white scraps, don't we? Oh, that'd be perfect. We'll only have to trim a little bit off of that. And that makes that really nice when you only have to trim a little bit. So I am thinking we need to just cut this down to 3 3/4. So about 1/4 inch. So 3 3/4. And then this should mat on top of here. Just like so. But we want to stamp before we glue that down. And I think I'm going to do like this Sharing Christmas Cheer. I think I'm going to use it. So this little stamp right here. And I'm going to center it on my grid paper. And then we're going to pick it up. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp it in the Night of Navy. And I am going to bring it over to here. And I am going to stamp that right about there. Sharing Christmas Cheer beautifully. And we'll, I don't know, do I want to stamp something else in the corners? I think I do. How about this cute little flower on this paper pumpkin? Just something to kind of bring it together and have a little extra something in our inside of our card. I love to decorate the inside of a card. I think it adds so much. If you just put a little something, maybe like that. That would be so cute. So let's grab another stamp block and pick that up. And I'm going to stamp. Nope, I think I like it full on. And I'm going to stamp it about like that. So pretty. I'm wondering if I want to do one up on this corner. Why not? It's my card, right? That's what I keep saying. Gorgeous. I love it. You know, if you love your card, I can promise you that whoever you send it to is going to love it too. That is just a given. Alright, let's close up this little juicy ink pad. And look how beautiful. Oh, on that Night of Navy, it is gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to use some of my pressed Stampin' Seal. And this is the regular. This isn't the real strong. Even though it's not real strong, it's still very sticky. It's not the plus, but it's definitely a tacky adhesive. So there, that looks gorgeous. We're going to turn this over, and we're going to run some adhesive on each side and across the bottom and top. A little piece there. I think I need just a little bit right on the edge. And now we're going to bring this back over, and I want to make sure that I'm getting this nice and centered, so I'm going from the edge, looking at my top and bottom, and once I'm satisfied, then I will tack everything down, just like that. And that card is done. Look how pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? And who would have thought that an old olive and a Night of Navy would make such a statement? But there's the two cards, and I would love to hear in the comment which one you like the best, because for me, I am such a red and gold and green girl when it comes to Christmas. I love those traditional colors. But when I look at this and I see just how pretty it is, and I think I need a star right there. It looks like something pulled right there. That's okay. I'll cut a little star and put over that. Remember, we've got all of these little pieces here, and we definitely have stars in our dies. And we have this little star. We'll just put that down right there, and nobody will ever know that we didn't mean for that to be that way. A little bit of glue, and take our little star and just set it down right there. And nobody's the wiser except us. So, you know, anytime that you look and you see a boo-boo in your card, don't trash it. Cover it. You can always cover up a boo-boo and no one has to know. But anyway, let me know which card you like the best. They're both beautiful, and I hope that I would inspire you to try something like this. All of the measurements and the products that was used to create these cards will be listed in the description below. So if you're interested in picking up anything from the cardstock to the dies to the ink to the embossing powders, everything that was used in both of these cards will definitely be listed below, and you can go and visit my Stampin' Up website. Also, hop over to my blog. I'll have it listed as well, and there you will see, again, the full description, the pictures of the cards, and also you can click on the video there. So anytime that if you miss a video, you can always go to my blog and find everything listed right there. God bless you all. I hope you stay safe and happy during this upcoming holiday season. We are approaching November. Actually, when you see these, it will already be into November. I am actually recording this on Saturday, October the 31st, but you probably won't see this until maybe Monday or Wednesday, depending on how I put up my videos. But anyway, God bless you all. I love you. And as I always say in closing, let everything you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. God bless. Bye-bye.